Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today's video is sponsored by Bargain Hardware. Bargain Hardware is located in the UK and they sell refurbished servers, PCs, monitors, laptops, all kind of stuff. They have different companies. There's this First Technologic, and that is wholesale and distribution. And then there is something called ICT Direct, and that's the public sector. And then there's Bargain Hardware, which is for businesses and consumers. So this video is sponsored by Bargain Hardware because they sent me this server free of charge for me to review and show to you. And they of course did that because they have a lot of these and they want to sell them. So hopefully you will find this interesting and want one for yourself. That's the general idea. We're not hiding anything. So let's see what Bargain Hardware have sent me. Let's get this server out of the box. It's a big box, and I must admit I have had it out of the box because it was sent with UPS and I wasn't home when UPS tried to deliver this to me. So they sent it to their pickup point, which is 60 kilometers away from here, but very close to where I work. So I brought the box to work. And I have an equal amount of curious co-workers, so we had it out of the box and see what this was, because we had never seen this hardware before. There it is. The box has taken some damage over here. I hope there was nothing important in there. So it comes with rails. And these are long. This is a very long server. And if you have seen the thumbnail of this video, you already know that it's a Hewlett-Packard server. Bargain Hardware has also sent me European cables for it. This is the German standard, which is also winning in here in Denmark. They didn't have to. I have a ton of these. So, but thank you. Yeah. A lot of stuff that was tucked in here, but I was gonna carry this myself, so I didn't bother. I am pretty sure this is the longest 1U server and 2U server that I have ever seen. I just measured it from the tip of the power supply back there and to the tip of these metal brackets. It's 98 centimeters. 98 centimeters. It's a blotchy long server. So what is this? This is the HPE Cloudline CL3100 Generation 3. Cloudline, I think it means that it's meant for some kind of cloud. You could be wrong, but it's not meant for the pretty consumers like me. It doesn't have any nice front to it. It's just a steel thingy. You have the fan blowers right in the front here. Not even sure if they're hot swappable. They didn't bother to tell us if they're hot swappable, because I'm not sure this is even available for the regular people like me. I think this came from some big data center where they have ordered a bunch of these, and they would get these specially to their specs and stuff. And it's a very special server, which we'll see when we get inside it. So in the front here, there is absolutely nothing else than fan blowers. There is not even an LED or an on-off button. So yeah, industrial PC. On the back here, it looks a little bit more like a server. We have the on-off button right here. Just a tiny little button. Right next to that is the ILO port, maybe. Yeah, that must be a network port. Well, it has a network symbol there. That might be a serial connection with those lines. Also called out-of-band management. Then we have a VGA connection. That is good because we're gonna need that. We have one PCI expansion slot up here, which is occupied. We will see what that is when we get inside. We have two SFP ports, so there's a network card there. Then we have a network connection, but it says BMC UDI, but that might be this USB port. that you can connect to a PC and you can get a console screen on it. So ever so slightly curious what these different network ports are. I will go and check so we don't say anything too stupid. Good thing I looked. This is correctly an RJ45 connection with a console, which is a serial connection that you can access through prompts, SSL or Telnet or something like that. This one up here, in the documentation, they tell me that it's an RJ45 connection. Very helpful, guys. Thank you very much. I had figured that one out. I had to go down to page 8 in the PDF about this server to find out that it doesn't have an idle port. It has A-Speed ATS 2400 with a dedicated 10/100 megabit management port, and then inside it shares that with the network ports in some way, because this is surely not a 10 gigabit port and a dedicated port. It can't be dedicated and shared at the same time. So apparently they have not went with the ILO adapter in this, but another management system, which is probably because the ILO adapter is very expensive, and if they put the ILO adapter in here, it would make the server more expensive, or it would show everybody else who is buying the ILO adapter that they're paying way too much for it. So yeah, enough about that. Then we have 2 USB connections, and one of them says that it's a BMC. Hewlett Packard Enterprise has a system where you can put in a USB port and connect it to a special USB converter that converts it to an RJ45 connection, and that way you can connect it to a laptop, and with some special IP numbers you can access. Normally it would be the ILO adapter. In this case it must be something else. There is a couple of LEDs here, which is not labeled in any way whatsoever. There's a press button too. That resets the server. I could make some Hewlett Packard jokes of why this is necessary, but we're gonna skip that and move on to this spot, which has room for trays. And we can take the trays out. They are very plasticky, thin and fragile. And in there we see that we have a couple of disk connections. You can pop in a couple of disks, and the hardcore viewers will recognize this as being able to take SAS drives. If it only took SATA drives, the 2 connections would not be connected, and you can clearly see that they are. So yeah, in the back you can pop in two drives here with these very fiddly tiny trays here. That's okay. Then we have a display here that will tell us a lot of different stuff. ID4, ID3, ID2, ID1, ID0, 1, 2, 4, 8, very binary. And I do believe that the explanation of that is on the inside of the LED of the server. There used to be a service tag right here. I see that it has been removed on this server. It might have contained some information that the previous owner didn't want to share with us. I have no idea, or it might just not, well, it might have gone missing. Let's pop one of them out. It has kind of a handle here that swifts away from the fan blower. That's pretty smart, because out here it would be in the way of the air coming out, but down here it's not much of an issue, and it's the usual thing well, it's not that usual. This one is not touching. Try the other one. That one would work with me. So here we have a 550 watt power supply, and I am very much guessing that the other one might just be just like it. Maybe we can... Yeah, I don't really need it anyway, but it would have been nice. Okay, that's gonna be for another day. But these looks very standard Hewlett Packard power supplies, so I don't know, they might be compatible with other servers, or they might not. Who knows? These server, they kind of make stuff that only fits with one server. But well, let's this very long server, we missed something. There is a tiny finger screw here, and that is for taking the LED off. This is very old Hewlett Packard-ish. On the new one, they have this tab on the top that you open up. This one has a finger screw, which when released will pop up the top. So now we can take the top off, and that will immediately reveal why this server is special. Look at that! Oh, and on the inside here, there's an explanation of different stuff. And here they actually says that this is a LAN port. Maybe the server actually has a LAN port. Maybe I was wrong. Interesting. So this is clearly a storage server. Look at all that hard disk room that it has. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 internal bays for 3.5-inch hard drives, plus those 2.5-inch hard drive bays on the back there. It has potential for a lot of internal storage. I cheated and I asked on Twitter what this server would be good for, and I got a lot of good suggestions. I took some pictures of it when I had it out for work. So these are the trays. You mount the hard drives and you pop the drives down like it's like a little basket here. It's a drive basket, and the connection is right over here, and it's a SAS connector. So you can pop in SATA or SAS connections in the configuration that I have here. So there, pop that in and lock it there, and it's locked into place. The cables run beneath it. There's nothing right here, so but we can see that there are some cables going through. Let's try the other basket. Might be more interesting. There we can see some cables going through. That looks like power connections up to the front where all the fan blowers are, and each of them has a connector here that tells me which. This one is hard drive number 1, and this is 2, 3, 4, and then and it's also here on the top of the metal 5, 6, 7, and 8. So yeah. Neat, right? So most of the server is just storage. Up here we kind of have like the compute part of it. This looks like a Hewlett Packard Blade server, if I'm not much mistaken. It's like they have taken a Blade server and they have configured it to put in a one-use server. I would guess that it's not a direct copy because there is stuff that you wouldn't find on a Blade server. I don't think there's 12 gigabit hard disk connectors on a Blade server. I really haven't looked, but there could be. And it has a PCI Express port going out the back here, and it has a Massillin or Flex LOM card on the bottom here, which is a 10 gigabit Ethernet connection, which I'm very grateful for. And this is the Intel, they call it the OCP, and this is an Intel X520, and that's its dual 10 gigabit Ethernet out the back. Awesome. And it has this card here which manages all the hard drives, and this is it's a 3-port. Oh, 3-port. I thought they would be 4 ports. That manages all these hard drives. You can connect up to 9 hard drives without this card. I promise Bargain Hardware to tell you this, because this card is bloody expensive. It's an LSI 9305 HPA card, which I'm really curious about because it says that it's an 16i, and with 3 connections here it's only a 12i. So we need to check that. We can't have that going on, not being the amount of i's. That I is for internal. So let's pop that out if we can. How does that work? Okay, maybe we don't pop that. Oh, we don't pop that out. We take the whole tray out. Okay, we can try that. Well, that will do it. Oh, it does have a 4th connection down there. So awesome. But we get access to the bottom here. We have a press button there. Do wonder what that does. And then we have a rather big place here where the VGA connection is. I guess they found a smaller plug to put in there. Oh, we have some weird connections here. There's one here and there's one there. That's the weirdest thing. I just popped it open. Oh, there, and you can see there's a little chip down there. I don't know if it makes connections forth and back or something. There's one of them here, there's another one there. But why does this little chip needs to be in a connection like that? It look like a connection when it's just a chip. Well, the Massillin card here is usually something that you just pop in place and fasten with one screw. This one is fastened with 4 screws down into the chassis. So it's a very secure network card. It's not gonna fall out. They don't have that many options for Massillin cards in this. They had, as far as I can see, they had 2 10 gigabit cards. They had a 40 gigabit card, and I think that was about it. On the system board there is 2 12 gigabit options for hard drives. I haven't got a clue how you would get anything in this one, because if you put anything in this one it will totally block for the other one. There's an issue there. So I thought for a second that these were like hard drive connections. They're not. But we get a good look at this HPA card here, which I did check out yesterday. I was hoping that this would be a RAID controller, because I just like RAID controllers better than I like HPAs. I like the RAID controllers that can act like an HPA better than just an HPA. This one does actually have some offloading of the CPU. They have somehow found a magic trick where you can help the CPU manage the hard drives. Not sure how they're doing that. But in a server like this, it's gonna be all hard drives. So we have kind of seen enough of that. When you go to Bargain Hardware and you start configuring the server, it will start at a very low price. But as you add different stuff, like this card and this card, it is gonna go up in price. This card costs as much as probably most of the rest of the server. So it's a very expensive HPA they have let me have here. So thank you very much. So we need to put some screws in there, otherwise we will forget them. I didn't need to take this one out. Okay, I've screwed it back in. It does actually have room for a bigger card. So quite a while back I was given some of these Adaptec RAID controllers, and that would actually go in here. I think it would be good. And that has room for 24 hard drives, 16 down here and additional 8 here. So some of those connections could go out that way. This one could maybe, I don't know, these cables are just long enough, it seems. I don't know if they have any slack in them, but yeah, that could be very interesting to put a RAID controller in here instead of that HPA stuff. Then we get to the processors. I haven't got the faintest idea what Bargain Hardware put in here for me. They asked me what I wanted, and I told them to surprise me. And when I do that, they look at what they have in stock, and I get some of the processors that they have a lot of, because you know, they want to sell some stuff to you guys, and if I showcase something that was the last 2 in stock, you're gonna go there and you're gonna be disappointed, because the one that I showed they didn't have anymore. So it's probably gonna be some processors that they have plenty of, so that you can go purchase it. That's their general idea. They're a store. And they put in some RAM. I have checked the RAM. I haven't checked the CPUs, what that is, but I have checked the RAM, and the RAM is nothing special. This is, well, it's DDR4 RAM, and it's a 4 gigabyte block, so it's probably the smallest RAM block that is available for this server, and they have just put in 4 of them. So there is 16 gigabytes of RAM. So there is room for a bit of an upgrade there. So I do believe that I have some 16 gigabyte blocks that I could probably, yeah, when you go configure that, there is plenty of RAM options to put in here. Everything from 4 gigabytes to I think 64 gigabyte blocks. Don't quote me on that one. At least 32 gigabyte blocks are available for this. So it's too bad that it uses DDR4, because I have a lot of DDR3 RAM blocks, 32 gigabytes. I don't have any good ones in DDR4. think I might have some 16s. Processors, this uses the Intel Xeon E5 2600 version 3 and 4 processors. So it can use version 3 and version 4. That was the processors that came out just before Intel switched to the scalable series. So they're not actually that old. I'm sure this is gonna piss someone off. The cable management here. Yeah, there's a lot of cables for all those hard drives, and there is not really anywhere to hide them. Just chuck them away on the bottom here. That's power connections for all the drives coming out. There's like the power supplies goes into this board down here, where it's, I think we could probably call this a distribution board. It manages the redundancy. Not sure the computer has much control over all of this, but it probably senses there is some puny wire here that probably does something. So yeah, a control board that is, the control board and the power supplies are almost half the size of the CPU board over here. Power distribution. So I actually told Bargain Hardware not to put any drives in here, except if they had something really special that they wanted you guys to see. And apparently this is what they wanted you guys to see. I don't know if they're just bragging, but they added a Hewlett-Packard Enterprise 14 terabyte drive in here. Just for fun and giggles. Thank you very much. This is not a cheap drive. If you want to fill your server up with these drives, well, you don't care about the starting price of the server, that's for sure, because the hard drives are they're gonna move that upwards. Thank you very much. That's a very awesome drive to start with, and I'm gonna leave that in spot number 1. That's the largest drive that I had to date. I have a lot of 12 terabytes and a lot of 10 terabytes, but now I have a 14 terabyte drive as well. So a new record for me. So I was just checking if it would be possible to move the cables. You can kind of see up here goes some of the cables for the hard drive. This goes that way, and if I wanted to put in, let's say, this RAID controller that I already have, let's say that you wanted this server and you went on eBay to find, and you could probably find a controller that has 2 of these ports. They are fairly cheap. Well, they're cheaper than this one that has 6 of them, but there is 2 already on the system board and 2 more, and you would be good to go with all the drives, right? But these cables are just long enough to go in there. So, but if they went this way, they might be ever so slightly longer. So, but you can unscrew this and put them that way. And this one, I do believe that one comes up as well. Somehow, it would be very stupid if it did not. How did they plan that out? Okay, you unscrew this on the bottom. There is 2 screws going down. I was just afraid that I would have to call it very stupid, but they have thought of that. You can take this out by unscrewing it on the bottom of the server. These holders for the cables unscrew on the top here, and then we can move these cables to go that way instead, and that way they would end up way closer to where they're needed. So yeah, Bargain Hardware asks £360 for this HPA. So that is a fair amount of money for an HPA. So it would be worthwhile to find another solution to get from point A to point B. So that would probably be a cheaper solution to put another card in there. All these cables for the hard drives, I don't think they're very easily replaceable, so I do believe that the server comes with those, but you do have to pay for the trays. They cost a few pounds each. I think actually they were like, I'll go check. Yeah, they are actually £9.60 each for this metal tray. So 12 of them. We are already adding £120 to the server just to get all the trays, and there's the trays in the back, and you need a CPU and some RAM and some stuff. So yeah, it all adds up. So it's very important to use the checkout code at Bargain Hardware, where you type in my PlayHouse, small letters, and get 5% off. Very important to get that last discount if you're interested in this. Bargain Hardware has plenty of these. The website said 100 plus. So if you actually have a business and see this server and get some good ideas, well, you can have 10 or 20 or 50 of these within a few days. And at the moment it is actually rather hard to get new hardware. And may I just add that Bargain Hardware gives you 1 year of warranty on whatever you buy from them. That is also a plus. And they have some of the best service on refurbished hardware that I've come across. So enough advertising. I think we are almost done with this server. And I'm gonna milk this cow. I'm gonna let you wait until next week to actually see this server getting booted up. I need to get every single video out of it. Next week we'll power it up and we will hear if it's noisy or if it's just a silent little whisper. It has to be able to cool all these hard drives and 2 beefy CPUs and hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes of RAM and all this stuff. I do wonder why they haven't fitted some coolers in the middle here. That would have been a good move. So as many of you know, I am not a big Hewlett Packard fan. But this one intrigued me when I saw that it had room for those 12 internal hard drives in a 1U chassis. I have never seen that before. So Bargain Hardware has 2 different models of this server in stock. One of them has room for 2 SSDs at the back and the other one has room for 4. So they have given me the one with the room for 2, but they have one that has double and they didn't give it to me. Well, I think I'll manage. But I think it's rather unique that you can fit 12 large form factor hard drives in here, 3.5 inches. And if you really wanted to, you could just put a 2.5 inch hard drives in here with a little tray. I don't know why you would get this one then, because it would be very, very long. That's another danger of this server. It's very, very long. My rack, I think it's gonna be the longest thing in my rack. I think my Hewlett Packard Enterprise D6000 storage box with room for 70 drives, that one is like 88 centimeters long or 89 centimeters long, and it's very long. This one is almost 10 centimeters longer, so I think this one is gonna stick out the back of my rack. I think we might have to check that in a later video, see how much it sticks out of Morten's rack. So yeah. Again, thank you very much to Bargain Hardware for sending me this server for review. And if you wouldn't mind going over there and try and configure this server to what you are dreaming about, and tell me down in the comments what figure, what number of pounds it ended up in, it can become very expensive. Keep it realistically, but I would like to know how much money you guys would put into this server for something that you would like to get and play with. So yeah, thank you very much for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.